My name is Jadine Ortega. I'm 21 years old. My son is 4 and I was a teen mom. I had my son when I was 16 and I was a senior in high school. I was born in Brooklyn, but I am a Bronx baby. I was raised in the Bronx. Let me see. I can't tell you exact ages because I don't remember. I was so young. But I know my mother was arrested when I was young and she was in jail, and I remember living with my neighbors for a little while, our next door neighbors, because my mother didn't really have anyone else to take us. So while she was in jail, we stayed there. Then after a few months, I guess the neighbors couldn't, handle us anymore because it was me and my little sister, and they dropped us off to our grandparents' house. And I vaguely remember, I just remember them leaving me on the doorstep of my grandparents. Then I remember staying with my grandparents for a period of time. I remember visiting my mother in jail, but not remembering that, not knowing that it was jail. I just thought it was school. They told me mommy was in school, so that's where I thought she was. When my mother came out, I moved in with we moved back with my mom, and she had another baby, and that's when we moved to the Bronx. And when she had my brother, who's now like 14, she was with his father, and his father got arrested. So it was like my mom was taking care of all three of us by herself, and we were living in the shelter because we had moved from Brooklyn to the Bronx, and we didn't really have anyone, so we were living in the shelter. After the shelter, my mother had got Section 8, and we were living in an apartment, but we were still really poor, like we were on welfare. We didn't have a lot of clothes, we didn't have a lot of food, but over time things got better. My mom got her own job, the house was a little more stable, but she just wasn't happy. Like, I don't know how to explain it. When my mom had got arrested when we were younger, she got arrested for selling drugs, and she was using drugs. Now my mother has like 17 years clean without using any drugs, but she was a heavy drug user when we were kids, and it was like she was a single mom, and I don't know what else to say, but she was mean. She was mean. Like, she was not a happy person. She was really mean. She always used to hit us, except my brother, because he was the golden child. For her, it was like, at that time when we were already in the shelter and we were in the Bronx, she had stopped using. She wasn't using anymore. But sometimes I feel like she just had resentments against me and my sister because we were the drug babies, When she looked at us, I felt sometimes like we were, I don't know, we were just harder for her. She was using drugs, there was a crying baby. I just felt like she still had resentments about how hard it was to take care of us when we were younger. And for my brother, it was a little bit more of a happier time, like, even though we were still poor, we were still in the shelter. I feel like that was her real experience being pregnant. She wasn't using drugs. My brother was a clean baby. She was happy with his father. And I felt like because of that, she favored my brother a little better. And me and my sister used to like be abused day in and day out. And once I hit, I think it was 13, I just decided, no, like, I'm not gonna take it anymore. Like, I'm gonna get my ass whooped regardless of what I do. My mother's gonna hit me, whether I clean the house from top to bottom, whether I clean for everybody. Regardless of what I do, I know there's something that's not gonna be right for her, and I'm gonna get hit anyway. So I'm gonna act out. You're gonna hit me anyway. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm gonna be defending myself because there's no one else here to defend me. And it was a really, really big incident right before I turned 15, or maybe I was 15 already, I don't really know. But she beat me so bad that I ran away. Like, I left. I ran away. And you know, people came looking for me. Her friends came looking for me. Eventually, my stepfather found me, and he brought me home. But after that, it was just like, she knew she had went too far. And she was just like, you know what? If you don't want to be here, I'm not going to keep you here. Because I know if I keep you here, the police are going to end up coming and they're going to see what I did. Because I was beat up beyond, like, I looked like I got jumped, you know? So that's when I ended up going with one of her co-workers who was a lawyer, right? So her co-worker told her, like, listen, I'm a lawyer. Like, technically I'm supposed to say something about this. So if she doesn't come with me, then she's going to go with somebody. So that's when my mother was just like, take her. And we went through the whole court system, and she was my guardian for a while, you know, her co-worker. And this woman, I gotta say her name because she's like amazing. Her name is Flor. And I feel like she saved my life. Because I didn't want to live. I didn't want to live. Like, I felt like my mother didn't love me. I felt like nobody loved me. Like, I was just nothing. I made my life, like, if I didn't wake up the next morning, no one would suffer because I had made no change, you know? I had not affected anyone's life. And this woman made me, you know, feel loved, you know? She hugged me like if I was her kid. She hugged me. You know, my mother, she never would hug me. She was not like that with us. And this woman, she made me feel like my life was worth something.
Wanna stop?
No, it's alright. And then she made me go to school, like, and with her I acted out so much. I acted out so much because I didn't understand why she loved me, you know? I was like, what's wrong with this lady? Like, I'm a teenager, I'm off the hook, I'm gonna miss curfew, I'm gonna be on the phone till 4 hours in the night. Like, I'm gonna just act out because I don't deserve this. I don't deserve for nobody to love me. And I couldn't figure out why she was there. Like, I would be so upset and I would just act like a brat, yo. Throwing things and leaving the house. And she was just there for me. But, we had one house rule. And the rule in the house was, you don't get pregnant. You do what you want. You go to school, you know, you want to have a boyfriend, you want your boyfriend to come over, it's fine. But you do not get pregnant. Like, that's the house rule. And I broke that rule. And when I broke that rule, I had to leave. And I didn't have nowhere to go. Like, when I broke that rule, I had nowhere to go. And, you know, she gave me options of like, okay, you have and I went to stay with my son's father. And when I was living with him, it was just terrible. Like, it was terrible. We didn't even last not even halfway through the pregnancy because he became so abusive. Like, I was locked in that house every day. I wasn't allowed to go outside. I wasn't allowed to see any people. I wasn't allowed to even talk to my own mother, you know? And by the time I was like almost 4 months pregnant, he beat me so bad I ended up in the hospital. And then after the hospital, I went to my mother's house and I stayed in my mother's house because I felt like, you know, I had to choose. It was two of the lesser devils. It was either go back to him and get my ass whooped or go back to my mother's house. And I chose to go to my mother's house. And